Hey guys, that video about suicide attracted a lot of comments and different people giving different ideas on the subject, which was very interesting. There was a number of comments and reactions in there that talked about people not having a choice, or people being forced into the situation by other people, or people, because of other people they did it. And I want to start by saying that everybody has their own choice of how they look at life, and that's totally the way it should be. And if people want to look at life like that's fine. But I think we need to acknowledge that it is a choice. That it's always a choice. You can choose to look at life like that you don't have a choice and it's because of other people. And you can choose to if you want to. But there is a choice. So it also means that you can choose another way to look at it. And I'll just give you some examples. Like the one advantage of being really old, actually one comment in there, another old guy mentioned this, that when you're really old, you've seen a lot more stuff, which means you've seen these cycles. And you've also seen what other people do and how they deal with life. And I can tell you that the people in my life that are the happiest and that have achieved the things that they want to achieve, whether that be, their careers, or whether that be just their hobbies, or whether that just be happiness, are the people who take responsibility for themselves and for their happiness and steer their own aeroplane, steer their own boat. So they take control. They take the steering wheel of their life and they steer which direction they want to go. And there's a lot of different analogies for this. There's a lot of different sayings about this. Lots of them. If life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Life is 10% what life is 10% what happens to you, and 90% how you deal with what happens to you. And this is so true. And if you look at people who are happy and look at people who are doing good things in their lives, it's very easy to look at these people and go, oh, he's really lucky. He's really lucky, he's really happy, he's got a good wife, or he's really lucky, he's got a good girlfriend, or she's really lucky, she's got a good job, or he's really lucky. And look, I think there is a small element of luck. There's things like, somebody mentioned cancer in amongst those responses, and this, cancers and brain tumours and things like that, definitely bad luck, no doubt about it. But usually in life, it's not just luck, it's how people deal with things. And even people with cancer and brain tumours and things, they have a choice too, how they deal with it. And, I've known people with terminal diseases and they've just refused to let it get them down and just stay positive. And as a result, they've enjoyed what was left of their lives because they had a positive attitude. And it's sort of been proven, I think, by lots of reputable medical people that a positive attitude will help you recover much quicker than a negative attitude will. And will the positive attitude and good health go together. And, so again, it doesn't really matter what life does to you, it's how you cope with it. I remember a story of a monk, a Tibetan monk, that the Chinese locked up in a prison and tortured him for 30 years because they wanted him to, renounce his beliefs, and they wanted him to, do something. And they tortured him and beat him for 30 years, kept him locked in a little cell. And then eventually they let him out, and he was examined by doctors and psychiatrists and people, and they said that there was no signs of any permanent mental damage. And it was because he just had this attitude that these people can do what they want to me, but I'm going to stay balanced and focused and cool. And he did. And there's a million examples of that happening. So we have choices, and I've seen so many examples of this, both the negative examples and the positive examples. There's one lady in particular I'm thinking about who is now in her 40s, and she has spent her entire life blaming her parents and her childhood for being unhappy. And she's had the most amazing life, doing lots of amazing things all around the world, and she's had really good jobs, and really her life's been really good. If I listed all the stuff about her life, you'd be saying, wow, what an amazing life. She's been healthy and happy. She's been physically healthy and living around the world, and amazing jobs and doing all sorts of exciting stuff, and she's got lots of money. And really, if you just heard all that stuff, you'd think that, wow, she's doing really well. She must be really happy, and she's been miserable. She's been miserable her whole life, and she blames her family and her childhood. Now, the only problem with that is she also has a brother and a sister, and they're both really happy, well-balanced individuals who are really happy, and everything's, their attitudes about life are really positive, and they're really happy and everything's good. And they had exactly the same parents and exactly the same childhood. So she was the middle one. There's an older one, there was a younger one. She was in the middle. So the other two had the same life she did. They're really happy, well-balanced people, and she's miserable. And her whole life, she's in her 40s and she's still blaming her parents and her childhood for being unhappy. And it's because of her choices. The other two made the choice to take responsibility for their lives and be happy, and they have. And she made the choice to spend her whole life blaming everybody else for why she's unhappy. And you see people like this all the time. I know another guy who was actually an amazing martial artist and very well educated and really intelligent and a really nice guy and really funny, and he had everything going for him, and he's just destroyed his life. He's an older guy too. He's about 50 now, and he's got nothing. He's got nothing. He's just destroyed his life, and it's his attitude. He spends his whole life saying, "Oh, that's just my luck. My luck's really bad. I've always got bad luck. Nothing goes right for me," and he's just a negative person, and that's what he's made his life of. And there's a million examples, and I'm sure you guys can think of people yourself. Think of people that you know that are happy, well-balanced people, and the people that are miserable, and the positive ones. My friends, my closest friends, one of them's an amazing, well-accomplished musician. You'd have heard his music on some of our videos on the Japan channel and on this channel. He makes that music, and he's lived around the world, and he's just a happy, well-balanced guy with a beautiful wife, and he's just a wonderful guy, and a really happy, cool, laid-back guy. And it's his attitude. I love the guy because when we talk about stuff, his attitude is always the same. When bad shit happens, he goes, "Right, well, that's bad shit. What are you going to do?" And that's the question. That's the question. What are you going to do? There's no point, my parents, they're terrible, and this guy and that guy and this person and that person and my boss and my ex-girlfriend and, all the sorrowful, woeful stories. Well, if you want to do that, you can. You've got a choice. You can choose to have that attitude, but the happy people in their lives don't do that. And he doesn't do that. Bad stuff happens to him, and he tells me, because I'm his friend, and he says, "Oh, this thing happened, so I thought I'd do this." I've got another friend who's one of the best flying instructors in Australia. Just an amazing guy, really, really good with his aeroplanes, and he's had a pretty tough life. He's had bad car accident, got really badly mashed up, and he's had a lot of heavy shit happen to him in his life, and his attitude is always positive. Always positive. I've never heard him be negative. He's just not negative. He just chooses not to be negative. As a result, he's got a really great house. He owns an aeroplane. He's just a really well-balanced, happy individual. So, sometimes this stuff leads to money and success and all that sort of stuff. And quite often, if you listen to people that talk about that sort of thing, motivational speakers that talk about making $1 million, they say the same thing, that it's positive attitude and it's being positive and looking for solutions rather than looking at the problems. And it's true, but I'm not going to focus on the making money thing because, if you want to apply this stuff to making money, you can, because it's the same rule. Being successful in life, I think we can call it. And for some people, being successful is having a big car and big house and lots of money and freedom to travel the world and stuff. Well, that's fair enough. To other people, it's just being happy. I think that being happy is the most important focus, because I've known rich people who are unhappy. It happens. So the bigger focus is on the being happy, and it's the choices. So coming back to this thing about the suicide, people saying, "Oh, the people reach this low and there's nothing they can do about it." And I understand that some people have chemical imbalances and things, I understand that, and again, it's unfortunate. But I think, what can we do? What can we do? And I think it's that way of thinking. It's that way of thinking when you've got a big problem, what can I do about it? Look for solutions. Don't focus on the problem. Look at the problem, and think about the problem, and then go, right, what can we do about it? What options have we got? I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. and do something about it. Because I think that attitude, I've heard that attitude before of, oh, I can't do anything about it, it's just the way it is, and oh, you know, they're forcing me to do it, and they're making me do it, they're making me do this, and they're making me do that. Well, no, those people are doing what they're doing, and you're choosing to react in the way that you're reacting. So it's harder to accept this. You know, if someone says to you, you must take responsibility for your own life, it's harder to accept that because it's much easier to blame somebody else. Oh, it's all her fault. It's all his fault. It's all my mother's fault. It's all my father's fault. It's all that teacher's fault. It's that teacher's fault. I failed that course because of that teacher. You know, everything's because of that person. Much easier. It's much, much easier to blame everybody else than it is to say, okay, I'm responsible for what I do. You know, if I'm going to kill myself, well, that's my choice, but it's my choice, and I'm choosing to do it. I'm not going to write a note and say it's all because of you people. It's not. My choice. If those people in my life are that bad that I want to kill myself, well, maybe I should get away from those people and go and do something else. Go and hang out with some positive people. That's a big point. That's a big point. The people that are in my life, my friends in my life, are all positive people that are all achieved what they want to achieve. Very successful musicians, very successful pilots, very happy people because they choose to be. And I choose to be around people that are happy and well balanced. They're not all rich. I've got some really poor friends, really poor alternate living friends, but they're happy. You know, and I think you've got to choose to be around people that are positive and think like that. Because then when you get together with people and you've got a problem, you can tell them, oh, I've got this terrible problem with this asshole at work, and I don't know, you know. And what can I do about it? What can I do about it? And look for solutions and take responsibility, you know. Because it's easier to blame other people. And it is difficult to say, okay, I'm responsible for my life and what I do, and I'm responsible 100%. And look, whether you've got ADHD or you've got PHT or you've got BER or whatever physical, mental problem or chemical imbalance or whatever other thing you've been diagnosed with, okay, that's fine. What can you do about it? What can you do about it? You know, I've got people in my life with those things as well. What can you do about it? You know, what can you do about it? There's no point in just saying it's because of that, it's because of that, it's because of that. It's much more difficult to say I have a choice, what will I do? It's more difficult, but how good is it? You have a choice. You're steering your life. You have a choice. That's good. It's more scary, you know, flying an aeroplane. When you're flying the aeroplane, there's an element of anxiety because you are in control of the aeroplane. When you're landing an aeroplane, there's an element of, you're pretty happening because if you mess up, you're going to crash. But you're controlling it. That's a rush. It's much easier for me to go, oh, and let the other guy fly. But he's flying, you know. I want to fly. I want to fly. Or I want to ride the motorbike. I want to drive the car. I want to ride the push bike. I want to ride the skateboard. You know, it's more difficult to do it yourself, but it's better to know that you can do something about it. And it's much better, oh, I can't do anything about it, my life sucks, it's because of everybody else. Well, yeah, okay, that's easier, but that sucks. That sucks. Much better to say, hey, I can do something. What can I do? What can I do? Look for solutions. And sometimes the solution is just a better attitude. You know, it's the same. You go through some pain, go to the dentist or something, and he's doing something nasty to you. You have a choice how you deal with that. You can lie back in the chair and go, oh, or you can just lie there and just go, okay, this will pass. It's that thing we talked about in the last video about the ups and downs. You know, your attitude while that bad shit is happening, you can get all depressed. And usually what happens is people have a negative attitude, they go into a downward spiral. Oh no, I can't deal with this. Oh no, it's terrible, and they go in this big downward spiral. Whereas if people have a positive attitude, they go, oh, this sucks. This sucks, you know, I owe all this money. I was at a situation once in my life where I owed $150,000 to the tax office and they wanted it within a month and I didn't have it. I had no money. You know, stuff like that happens in your life and it's like, this really sucks, you know? And then what am I going to do about it? Because if you go, this really sucks, and you get really drunk, and and then you see people that do this in their lives all the time. They start with one problem, and their negative attitude just puts them in a downward spiral, and they end up, you know, killing themselves, or they end up really at the bottom. Whereas if this, yeah, okay, well this sucks. What am I going to do? Okay, well I need to do something about this. What are my options? and start thinking positive about solutions. And that's what happy people do, you know. And there's a couple of comments on there too from people, oh, you don't know about my life and you don't know what it's really like to be there, or really? Anybody who thinks that their life is somehow worse than everybody else's, really? There's no one else in the world who's had a life that's worse than yours. Really? Okay. Well, you know, you've never been where I've been, or you've never been, you know, in the place that I am with this thing. Well, really? How do you know that? I'm sure there's people watching this video that have had much worse lives than what all of us have, right? But it's attitude. It's attitude. So choose to blame everybody else, and choose to say, oh, my life's tougher than everybody else's, and you people don't understand because my life's worse than everybody else's. Well, you can choose to think like that if you want to. That's easier, isn't it? Sit in your room and cry under your pillow. It's your choice. That's what you want to do. Or you can take the steering wheel and do something about it. There's always something you can do, even if it's attitude. Oh, I can't fix that because I don't have any money. Well, yeah, okay, we'll have a better attitude about it. I owe $150,000. What is that? It's a letter from the tax office, all right? It's a piece of paper. It's a piece of paper. Have a better attitude about it. Oh, okay. And what happens when you have a better attitude is you suddenly start to think of solutions. Hey, I could do that. So, anyway, again, interested to hear your opinions, guys, but please, I know these are emotional topics, but no insults, no you don't understand, or if you think that you're ignorant, or please, just give your opinion. If you want to give your opinion, please do. I think this. Just that. Don't attack anybody else. Please don't attack anyone else, because your comment will just get deleted if you attack anybody or you're rude. So please just say what you think. I think this. I disagree. I think this. Look on the suicide video. Look at the comments on the suicide video. That'll give you a hint. Anyway, let's be positive and have a good life and be happy. Okay, let's go. More videos coming soon.